Good morning. Hello. Welcome to another creative morning. I'm Erica. Today we're going to be drawing a little bit in our sketchbook. This is my sketchbook. So I was doing a little practice with my friend Liz on Zoom a little earlier. And today I've been kind of like thinking about all the images I put up. So I want to share just a couple things about why we do this, why I do this, right? Creative mornings are a way for me to just make time for working. Hi, Leslie. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Everything sounds good. Thank you, Liz, for always checking that for me because I have a reputation for not making sure my mic is on when I start. But yeah, creative mornings is a way for me to kind of like prioritize some time for making. Is really easy for that to get away from us. And maybe you have more important things to do. Maybe you have other things that are happening and this isn't possible all the time. But when it's possible for me, I like to try to make sure that I get some time in my sketchbook. And sometimes it's not very long. But the idea is that that like creative making is a practice. It's not like a product necessarily. Hi, Elise. Good morning. Oh, thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, so the idea is just, like make some time for your practice. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be, a painting that you're going to sell. It's just about making that time for that practice, right? So today we're working in our sketchbook. This is my sketchbook that I've been using right now, and I'm very close to the end. I'm so like surprised and excited. I have these this page that I already prepped. I prepped it a while back. I just put some blue ink on it. I don't have that ink right handy for me to show you, but it is like a clearance acrylic ink that I found at Michael's. It is, I wish I could tell you, I don't remember the brand. Oh wait, here they are. It's this. It was on sale. So I just was like, oh, I'll try it. I don't love it as much as I like my other inks. But I thought it would be an interesting color to work on top of. And then I have one more page that is empty and ready for some work on it. And so, my sketchbook is practically finished. This is my sketchbook for this. I kind of started it. Wow, I don't even remember. I want to say, the beginning of the month. So I've been working pretty consistently in this one. And this morning I did a little bit of practice. So I have some images on Patreon and you can go and look at them, but they will pop up here in the corner. Let's see if I can get that to show. There we go. Right there for your viewing. I don't know how hard that is to see for you. I personally like to be able to zoom in on things. So right here on the side, I have my iPad and I have Patreon open with all of my pictures. Now, this post on Patreon and this creative morning session is open to all members of my Patreon, regardless of whether you're on a paid tier or not. All members have access to this. This is an open public, session. So you should be able to access that. Just use the link that I posted in the in Instagram, or if you came through Patreon, that link. There are photos right underneath the link to join. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different photos for you to choose from. I wanted to just focus on one image this morning and I started sketching. I was like, oof, this is a lot. It's a lot to do. So I also want to encourage you to think about picking and choosing things from the images and creating something else if you prefer, right? So I had seen something, and that's what Elizabeth is referring to, that we were looking for this picture on Pinterest that I saw, and it was a really kind of sketchbooky, very loose, very playful rendering of these fruits, and they were just in little boxes like this. So I don't know, I was kind of experimenting with that and playing with how that might look, right? So feel free to do something like that if you prefer. you have options here today. So just remember, do what you like, do as much as you like, do as little as you like. Focus on just one fruit if you want to. It's up to you, right? There's a lot of things to pick and choose from. There's this other image. I don't know if I put this one up. Let me see. Put that one away. Let's see about this one. So this one's a really dense image too. Let me see if I can add one more image really quickly because I want to show you this one that has a pretty like big view of like fruit, right? Like some of the fruit is really big, but like those bananas hanging in the background would be a nice like individual painting if you don't really want to, you know, paint a bunch of stuff. You just really want to focus on some small little vignettes. You can do that too. So feel free to take this practice any way you like. Spend as much time as you like on them. Spend as much, like as little time if you prefer. Like if you're not feeling it and you want to move forward, go for it, right? But this is I'm going to work on this prepared page just because it's there and it's prepared. And I was thinking that I might do, I mean, obviously we have 1 hour. So I might do this image right here. This is the one I really wanted to work from. And I was thinking I would do some of that here. Maybe I won't draw everything, but some of that here. And then on this side, I could do like little vignettes, little like studies of small sections from different images. So I'm going to probably play with both of them. This are multiple images. This month on Patreon, we've been talking a lot about plants, and specifically like one of the things I wanted to practice was that's kind of dark. It's a little hard for you to see, but I'm going to use my ink brush, which is my favorite tool of the moment. I'm using this brush. It is kind of like an ink reserve brush, and you just kind of squeeze it and more ink comes out. But I'm going to use this to make a like loose sketch right here at the beginning, and I'll use this as my starting point. I'm not ever really super like married to the image that I sketch, so if I feel like things aren't quite what I want, I just change it. I usually don't have a lot of problems like changing it, making it different from the sketch. I don't always feel like I have to stay true to the sketch. I did notice that this like perspective is going to be a little bit challenging. I had some trouble with that on my other sketch as well. So you can see I'll kind of like redraw and redraw as I'm working this. And that's just kind of like part of my process. Some people like to have like a really like nice, clean and tight image for their sketch at the beginning. And if you need that, you know, take all the time you need to do that if you prefer. I just like to get into it pretty fast, so I tend to work quickly, kind of messy, and then I will see what needs to be revised later. So I just kind of want to block everything in, and this is just my process, but of course, work in a way that feels good for you. This is a practice, so it's not so much about what am I going to have at the end? How beautiful is this going to look? Can I sell this painting? No. It's more, for me, it's more about like, you know, how did I approach this like challenging subject? Or like, let's say I have like that perspective is a little bit challenging for me. I already know. So how do I address that? And, you know, if I don't quite get it right this time, maybe I'll try it again later. And I'll let my experience drawing it today inform how I move forward in the future. So it might teach me things about what not to do, what to do, things like that. So I just really want to think about this more as an exercise, a part of my practice, not necessarily about ending up with a really great page. I mean, that's a bonus if that happens. It's kind of like, wow, nice. But if it doesn't, that's not that big of a deal. So here's kind of like the front of the truck, which is really foreshortened. You can see it's become really like small and condensed. And I don't know how much of that I really want to draw, but, and then there's like a really dark shadow. I'm going to put a little bit more black ink here. Just kind of block that in. Let's see if the black comes out. right here. And there's a lot of shadows down there, so I would like to use that as a way to kind of like cut in the shape that will help to form the edges of the vehicle. Something like this. So there's like this little window in the back of that truck. All of this is going to be fruit. There's like apples. There's like melons back here. A little rogue pineapple. Looks like some mangoes or something here. And then I have this little bag of apples here. So I kind of have it like blocked in. I just kind of know where it's going to go. I don't know much else, but that's like the idea, right? And then if I want to, I can like use this space. I was thinking I could use this space to do some little studies. I'll wait on that. So here's my sketch, and I'm going to use this as my starting point. And again, remember, if you just, one of the things that really drew me to this image was the text. And if you know me, you know that I love some text, especially like signage. I love signage. I love grocery store signage, to be specific. Oh, okay, wait, green, yellow, blue, red. Okay. And so seeing that is really like, I don't know, exciting. I really enjoyed that quite a bit. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to include that. But then it's funny how I didn't really include it at all. So I'm going to, maybe I'll do some little like smaller studies of that. And I'm just going to start with like, this brush isn't too big, but I like to start with a larger brush just so I can block in loosely. Like, I don't want to be too tight or too precise at the beginning. That's just part of my practice. Like, I want to have a little bit of a looser approach at the beginning, and then I will refine it a little bit more as I move through the painting. There's a lot of stuff here that's not necessarily, sorry, let me see if I can get myself a better color here. Now this background that's so dark is kind of an odd choice, I think, just because I usually will use like for my underpainting, I prefer something in like the warm, like a warmer field, like something like pink or red or orange. I like orange as an underpainting. But for some reason, I just really felt like I wanted to try something really like dark and blue. And it's kind of like working on black paper. So you're kind of working up from there. And that works particularly well for the medium that I'm using. Today I'm using gouache, and my gouache of choice is artist gouache, acrylic gouache. And acrylic gouache is just going to be a little bit different. It's got a permanence like acrylic paints do. It's not workable after it dries. So I know a lot of people like artist gouache, and that one you can continue to kind of work it. You can wet it, re-wet it, and like it will move again. But this one won't do that. So this is a very like flat finish. It has, I'm trying to look for areas that I think I can put this in. I'm so sorry. I feel like it needs to rain, and it has not rained yet. And whenever it's about to rain, I always feel like I get really, like a lot of allergies, and it makes me go constantly. I hate that. But, yeah, I just want to like kind of figure out where I think that these things can go. I know I was saying something and I don't remember what I was talking about. Sorry. Classic Erica. So, yeah, I'm just kind of blocking everything in, and I can come back later, and I will come back later and give this a little bit more like clarity. But right now, all I want to do is think about where I'm going to put the big shapes, right? So yeah, using this color is kind of an odd choice for me. It's not something I use all the time. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to feel about it, but this acrylic gouache works really well for, you know, providing coverage on top of that that color. So if you're using something like an artist gouache, I don't know if it would work as well, just because it is so like, it's a little bit more transparent. I don't know. It might still work. I definitely recommend you try it. I'm just not sure. I cannot attest to that. But I think that this exercise could work really well with markers too. So if you're interested in using something a little bit more, that gives you maybe a little bit more control, like a marker might work nicely for this. Okay, so I'm just blocking in. There's some stuff happening here that I can't fully make sense of. So I'm just going to put in some general colors and values there. Right here. And so I'm mixing, I should put this here so you can see, I am mixing all my colors. I started with a palette that was a little, I'm wondering if I can scoot this over a little bit here. Let me see if I can make that better. Okay, let's try that. So I started with a palette that, I mean, I really didn't put a lot of thought into my color choices. I should have, but I was essentially putting down colors that were going to be, you know, like I had something red-ish, I had something blue-ish, and I had something yellow. And these are not, you know, like primaries, but I feel like they could work. They're just going to create like a different set of colors, and I kind of like that. Like, I always feel like it's a good idea if you're feeling like you're making your own colors but you're bored of them, try a different blue, try a different red, try a different yellow, and see how that changes the colors that you make. Still kind of confused by what's happening right here. Just gonna put that in there. I don't know, why not, right? So my big brush is really doing a lot of work here. It's covering a lot of area, but I do think that I'm gonna have to move down just because a lot of this is kind of like small. So I'm gonna come down to a smaller brush size in just a bit. Right here. So I'm just blocking in. See some more of this. And I have a tendency to be kind of, I always say I'm a very efficient painter, right? I work pretty quickly in general, but one of the things that I do is if I have a particular color on my brush, I try to seek out those areas and use the brush while it's already loaded. And that has always been like a way that I think it helps me to work fast. So scan your image and see if you have any more of that color that you can paint from. So I see there's like this blue thing here, and maybe I made that a little too big, but there's a little bit of blue that shows up behind that. Could probably use this also for this pole. Let me just make a line here. It's a little yellow bit right around the middle. Something like this. I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to be there. Okay, still with this pretty big brush, I am feeling kind of like it might be time for me to move to a smaller brush. Before I do that, one more thing I want to do. I have a little bit of that. Sorry, let me grab some of that. Like signage showing. I'm not going to have a lot, but a little bit shows up here. So I'm going to just block that in. Comes right onto the edge. Maybe these apples could use this bright color here. Yeah, let me do that. Forgot about the apples. Duh. I'm going to use this like orangey, like fluorescent red orange here for those apples, just to give them like a warmth underneath them. I think that could work for some of these as well. This has a lot of shadow in it, so that part's a little tricky there. There's some dark stuff here, but I can't quite make that out. So let's block in a little bit for, I don't know what those are, like cherries or something. What are those? Plums? I don't know what they are, but we're going to put them right here. I think I used my alizarin crimson for that one. And then same for this color right next to it, but I'm going to darken it just a little with a little bit of that blue. I think that was like a, I don't know if it was cobalt blue. Don't remember what I put down on my palette. It looks kind of like a cobalt. Okay. So now I kind of have a good division of spaces. I can see that this is going to be like these. I think those are mangoes. Mangoes, apples. I don't know, cherries or something. Melons back here. One rogue pineapple. Some other cantaloupe there. And then these really cool signs there that I really enjoy. So I really want to put that in. Now here, I think, oh, let me put in the green here. I forgot this part of the umbrella. So I'm going to add that in. See if I can get something a little bit more vibrant. It's kind of looking like dingy. It's not really the green I want. I'm going to add this one in here. I just want something really like bubble gummy. I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Gum is not usually, well, some gum is green actually, now that I think about it, like mint. I just don't want anything too like desaturated. I want something really saturated, really bright, really poppy. So let's do this. Especially because I'm working on top of this blue. I'd forgotten that I had primed this page. And I actually, when I did this, I was like, okay, well, this will be a fun color to experiment with. And then I realized that it like all bled through the little, you know, binding. Oh, I was so upset because it even like went through on my, well, not this one, but on this one, kind of damaged those other pages. Not there, that just those. But that blue really did a number there. And then let me put that red in. And again, you know, I'm using whatever red I have on here. And in fact, I kind of really want that bright fluorescent orangey red, which is not quite the color, but I do think it will look really great on top of that blue. And I was right. It really does. That, like, just the glow on top of there is so nice. Like, ugh, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to use some of that color into these little mangoes over here. Since it's on my brush, I was going to move to a smaller brush, but you know, I can do it now just because it's there already. I feel like I can use it on the apples. Yeah. I love that color. Looks so good. I just want to make sure I have some way to like darken it for the little like folded part. I didn't really capture that here, but I'll try to get that next. There's also these little like, I don't know, crates back there. I think we're okay here. Oh, and there's something orangey here. This is definitely a lot brighter than what I'm painting right now, but I'm just going to block it in right there with this. Just because it's already on my brush. Okay, so that was my biggest brush. I already love how like not cartoony, but like circusy this is looking. It's kind of like wild how vibrant it is, and I'm definitely here for it. One of the other things that I love is to see like the little bits of black poking through, and that I think will be something that I might have to, you know, live without in this one because the color is so dark that it's really hard to see that. But we'll see. We'll see how we can like pull it all together at the end, right? And we're drawing today for about an hour. Sometimes I feel like if I have more stuff, I want to continue working, I just do. And oh, that wasn't the color I was expecting right there. Yeah, that's definitely not the right color. Hold on. Not right. Revise. Revise and repaint. That's a little bit a little bit better. I still don't know that that's the right one, but we'll just put it in there for now to think. So yeah, if I feel like I need a little bit more time, I will definitely keep painting. And you are always welcome to, you know, stop whenever you feel like it. Leave whenever you're ready. And, you know, use this time in a way that works for you. So if that means that you are not going to be painting these images and you're going to be painting something else that you prefer to paint, please do it. Whatever is going to be best for your practice is what I recommend. So now I'm in this smaller brush and I can now put in a little bit more like detail. Thank you so much, Elise. It is, you know, in progress. You love the yellow on top of that blue. Me too. I feel like that's really working. Sorry, let me just adjust here because I can't see the chat well. Yeah, the yellow really worked nicely on top of that blue. I feel like it's giving it like a really nice, like brightness. I don't know. Something's funny right here. So I'll probably come back to that later. I'm not worried about it at this point in time. Yeah, I do like to use a lot of colors that are kind of in the fluorescent kind of family, right? So I use a lot of the luminescent colors, if I can find them. And sometimes I like to just like sub my primaries or my mixing colors for them. I feel like it adds something really like unusual. And then I think also the working on top of the dark color really creates like an interesting contrast. So I think white will also play a really nice role in this painting specifically because of that background. So it's like making sure that we have, you know, that sense of like contrast. So this is a little bit of blue mixed in with my, I want to say that is my Prussian blue. Mixed in with some white, and I'm just going to use that over here a little bit. I don't know. We're going to see how that looks, and if it doesn't look right, well, I'll fix it. I'll change it. We're not married to anything here. Everything is in flux, right? Everything can be changed. You don't have to commit to anything, especially when you're using something like this acrylic wash. Like, it's really easy to paint over. See, I feel like nervous kind of about, you know, really defining the edge of this car because you know, what we really should do one day in our Patreon is do cars and vehicles because, my God, they are so hard for me. Raise your hand if you have trouble with cars and vehicles because literally they're so hard for me. I always have a lot of trouble. Like, they just always look funny, and funny can be good. I just haven't found the good kind of funny yet in my drawings of vehicles. I always have trouble with it. So I think that that might be something to explore for the future. I was thinking next month, and you guys tell me what you think because I don't know. And I'm going to do some more of these, you know, creative mornings, but I was thinking of doing them in the evening next month. But I was thinking about doing some, like a month inspired by toys. What do you think? Tell me if that sounds crazy to you because I thought like, you know, drawing like toys or like, I don't know, I thought it might be kind of fun, but I'm curious to know. I don't know. What do y'all think? Because I don't think I've ever done anything like that with my Patreon. And I thought it might be kind of fun to play with like, I don't know, something different. You tell me if you have any feelings about that. Yes, you think so, Leslie? Okay, good. Because I'm not sure. I don't know how it would be received, but I don't know. I have some ideas. So I was thinking about it, and I will share more when I have like a better plan, which I don't have at this point. But yes, I'll definitely tell you what is going through my mind. But that's what I kind of was thinking about doing next month. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of that. And, you know, I don't know how close to your image you want to make this. You don't have to make it, you know, precise and perfect. I'm just going to bring in my ink again and see if I can kind of build out this like wheel a little bit more. A lot of this stuff has gotten really dark just because it's in shadow, and I kind of love that because it makes it so that I don't have to really draw too much. But I do think that I need to kind of define some of these spaces for myself, just for, I don't love that I kind of painted a little bit excessively here. That part's kind of annoying me, but I'm gonna put some more black ink in there and see if I can't shape it, or like kind of like bring out that, like, I don't know, shape, is that what I'm trying to say? And I wanted to put in text here, but I don't know, that's what is. Really love some grocery store slash shopping signage. Sometimes I will try to draw it like the way, like in the font that they use, because I think that's the best part. So some, like, I would never draw an S like that, and I love that. It's like really hard to understand what it says, but that's part of like the fun, drawing like the very different lettering. Let's see. One, and here. That looks more like my handwriting. That is like, I don't know, that C. We're gonna pretend that gets hidden by the other view. Melones. Oh, like that. There. And I kind of want to do some of this. This one says like manga, but I think it's supposed to be like mango. I don't know, maybe that's how we call it. So I'm gonna put just a bit of it kind of peeking through here. It should have gone straighter down, but it is what it is. And even though I kind of want to put mango, I'm just going to draw what I see there. But actually that kind of works. We can kind of use our imagination. Aguacate. Something like that. I don't know. That one's not great, but that's okay. Let's see. Kind of wide like this. I don't know, that T looks kind of funny, but it looks a little bit like an F to me, but it's okay. And then there. Okay, so that's like all I get from that. And I really think I need to put some like gray in here. And then I'll do a little bit more work inside here, so that I can kind of like create that sense of, you know, different fruit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but something that kind of creates that look of like separate pieces. There's a white box here-ish. I'm gonna imply things. I might not put everything in there. We're just implying them. They don't have to be perfect. Sometimes I really like when we can kind of see like the blue like peeking through the colors here. And then other times I really want to create like an opacity. And I think one of the things I enjoy is including a little bit of both of those things so that it doesn't seem like too what's the word I'm looking for? Like opaque or too solid or too like clean. And it does have a lot of that texture. I think if you have been around here for a while, you know that I have a lot of discourse about the artist's hand and, you know, why I think that's like a part that I want to see and something I want to include in my own drawings, but also things I want to see in everyone else's drawings too. When I am looking at works, I like to see that sense of like texture. And it's like that evidence of labor, right? That evidence of work. And personally, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that. There's my little mirror. You're a lifelong musician, Leslie says, just starting to dabble in visual arts. So you're mainly watching. Okay, awesome. That is so amazing. What is your instruments or instrument or instruments? Elizabeth, that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Nostalgic, toys, play, I don't know. That's kind of the vibe. Yes, I think you are really picking up what I'm putting down. I'm super glad you're here with us today, Leslie. I mean, I always think that there's like just so much about like, there's so much relationship between like making music and making art. And I think that there's like an interesting like translation that happens when musicians create. Like, I don't know, I'm a high school art teacher. So I see a lot of kids who are musicians. They're in band, they're really good at band. They're really great with their instruments, and they're also really good artists. It's interesting how much of a correlation the two have. Oh, I love that little bit of like pinkish orange there. I'm going to put some of that here. I feel like I need it here. Oh, primarily voice. Wow. Classical singer and teacher. Wow, that's amazing. I always say how I'm like so disappointed that I don't play anything. I don't like know how to play any instruments, and I kind of see myself that in the future when I retire from teaching, which is soon, I think, I am going to take lessons because I really want to learn how to play an instrument. I've never played one and I've always wanted to. But nobody in my family is like musical. So that wasn't really like something that anybody demonstrated an aptitude for in my family. But I feel kind of musical. Like whenever I'm like bop into a song or something, I always feel like I'm like want to play. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just like this sense that I feel like I want to play, but I don't know how to. Literally couldn't, even if I wanted to. It's just like this urge. So I feel like that's my body telling me that I need to try it. That's why you're exploring this form. Retirement is just a couple of years away. I'm so excited for you. I'm like, so many of my teacher friends retired this year, and I'm just like, I can't wait to be you. I can't wait for that to be me. I am looking forward to it. Supposedly, I'm going to be ready for retirement in about 6 years. So I feel like that's, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but I feel like it's right around the corner. We got this. And I do foresee, like, when I do retire, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it, but I don't see myself just like, you know, doing nothing. Like, I feel like I have a lot of projects, and so I'll be busy. I'm not worried about that, but I would love to dedicate more of my own time to the things that I enjoy, you know, my own personal pursuits. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that so much. So I'm just kind of like, you know, choosing a few spaces to create these like round kind of strokes, and it's like it doesn't look specifically like a melon, but it does create a sense that there are like these like stacked forms that are round, right? Or in some way roundish. This is really like throwing me off. So let me see if I can fix this now. It's that like sense that this little thing, this, sorry, brain processing. This part of the umbrella kind of like pops out instead of going in. So try to reshape that just a little. I just keep looking at it on the screen and I'm like, no girl. Now there will be kind of like a little bit of a problem here. Like if I don't want that, I'm just gonna put some of this ink back on there. Let's see. This ink is like literally not that great because even the little like stopper doesn't really work. I was like, ugh, this is low quality materials right there. So like you can see, I'm just kind of like reshaping around it. I always say that that's like I'm cutting in the shape by adding in more of the background. And then I can kind of redefine that in a little bit. This is acrylic ink, so it's essentially the same materials that I'm working with here. Oh, I really like this. It's like really like loose, but I feel like happy about it. I don't know how much time we've spent painting this already. Feel like, I don't know, my eyes might be deceiving me, but I thought it was around like 10:30 when I started painting, like after all the yapping that I was doing. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that's how, like it can't have been 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes is too little for how much time we've already spent painting, I think. I don't know. Tell me if you know how much time we've been painting. Now I'm adding in this like red. I think this is, oh, this was like a primary, like a mixing red. I don't have it out, but I want to say it's primary red. Yeah, permanent red. And this is just going to help me. I'm going to add a little bit of that Lumi orange or Lumi red. What is it called? Luminescent red. Just to brighten it up a little bit. But I want to use this to kind of create the like depth in this pile of mangoes. So I'm just going to pick little sections that I can add a little bit of like a little sort of triangular diamond kind of shape. And that's just going to imply that there's like gaps, right? So that there's like this sense of, you know, like spaces between things. You can see it's very loose, like right here. I can put that in right here. I just want to make it seem like there's spaces between them, even though they're all tight and they're all packed in there. I feel like I can use this color too for any of those little like, what would we call that? Like the stem, whatever that's called, where the stem meets the meets the fruit. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, that's the idea, is like we're implying stuff, but we don't have to like make it really precise or specific. And sometimes I like to add these kind of like curved strokes that will again kind of reiterate that sense that these are round objects, even though they're kind of bundled together just here and there. I try not to do too many, but it depends. I look at mostly like the value. So if there's like a lot, like there's a lot of shadow in this area, also here, but I will do more. And if there's not that much, I'll do less. There. Okay, and then there's also like a little bit of green in there. I really want to include that as well. So I'm still working with this, like, this is a number 8 flat brush. And I do think that the number 8 flat brush is, you know, for this kind of like stuff, it's pretty small. I mean, it's pretty big for this small area. This is pretty small. This is still pretty big. So you can move down to a smaller brush if you're doing something like I am, and you might have already done that. I am thinking about it, but I feel like when I start working in a smaller brush, I start getting really precious about things and like trying to make things a little bit more precise, which can drive me crazy. So if I'm working with a big brush, I kind of am more willing to embrace those like really loose textural marks, right? And loose expressions of like that blob of green that I just put down there doesn't really like land on the mango I was thinking it was going to land on, but that's okay. Like it doesn't, I feel like when I work with a bigger brush, I don't feel as, you know, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as like required to make things more precise. Like I just let them be loose. And I want that. I want that in my work. I want that in my practice. I don't want to feel like I'm having to paint every little stem and every little, you know, stripe on a melon. I just want to imply these things. But I do think like having a couple of values in there will really help to create that sense of like depth on those melons back there. I think that worked. And I'm going to move down to a small brush for this next part because I want to put in some darks on the stem for the pineapple because I do want that to feel more like there is a pineapple kind of wedged in there. Just something like that. Very little. Yeah, impressionistic, very impressionistic. Just, you know, a little bit of stuff there, but doesn't have to be, you know, exact or precise or correct even, right? Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of implied kind of markers around here. Inside this window, which I was a little bit nervous about this image. I was like, oh, I don't know what my late night brain was thinking. My late night brain was thinking this was a good idea. And then I got here and I was like, oof, what were you thinking, Erica? But I am feeling like happy with the result. Like, again, I think the idea is to really embrace the imperfection and the impressionistic quality instead of feeling like, you know, you have to include every single thing in there. I'm going to add a little bit more pink in here. There's a little bit of light on some of these. Maybe that's just pink instead of adding any white. I think it should land on top of those colors, on top of that dark purplish color pretty well. And I think it does right there. Possibly some of that here. Using the same color. Maybe even a little bit inside here. Very small little bits. Just to darken some of those little like crevices. Really kind of push them down, push them back. Right there. I think I can probably, maybe not. I was thinking I could probably put some of them back here, but I think I need a different color for them. I feel like happy about this. I feel like good. I'm going to move back up to like a larger brush. I'm going to try to make something kind of like a dark gray, but sort of like that black that we have in the like shadow here. I do feel like there's like a little bit of a like a lighter gray here that makes it possible for us to see the tire. And I don't feel like I captured that. So I'm going to try. We'll see. So I'm going to go like here. That's pretty light. So maybe I should add blue in there again. I feel like it kind of blends together in the image. I don't know. I might come back in with that blue because I feel like it's creating a little bit of a weird sense of like space. Like what is happening there? I'll come in with my brush. Let's see. It's a little bit confusing in the image as well, but we'll see if, like, I feel like that's like the tire-ish, right? And so there, maybe that will help. And then this is pretty dark too, so I'm just gonna kind of like add some texture in there. It's not gonna be like super precise right there. Possibly a little bit more in here. I'm even feeling like we're almost done, or I'm almost done. I do see some things here, but I think it's like one box on top. Maybe some stuff in here. I'm gonna use my black ink again. You can see I'm just kind of like drawing directly on top. Thank you so much. Yeah, I do like it too, which is kind of surprising because I was a little bit nervous that it was going to be too much to do, and that I was biting off more than I could chew, and I'm feeling okay about it now. There, let's draw that like that. Sometimes I don't like to come back in with the brush and like redefine spaces, because I feel like sometimes it makes it look a little like flat, but I feel like it's working pretty well with this one because of how dark that is. That's what I think is happening here. There's like this little thing that I really wanted to put in, that little like mat that's holding the apples and kind of wobbly. I like that. So I want to put that in. It's kind of almost reading like it's negative space, which I like better, because I was feeling like it was looking a little too like pasty, like a little too much like, I don't know, filled painted area, if that makes any sense. Right there, I'll leave that like that, and I'm gonna do that little box there. Possibly some lines right here. That little bag that's kind of covering things there. Also a little bag here. I didn't put any attention into those apples yet, so maybe they need a little bit. Just a little. Maybe some more lights over here or some darks there. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with this. I feel like I could probably even like stop now-ish, somewhere around this time, and I would be content. I might still do some of those little like studies that I was thinking about for this area, but kind of like that like really messy background. So I might just leave it like that. This is still a little wet, but why not? There we go. I like that too. There's also these kind of like really hard, like very thin kind of like strings. I do like that. Originally I was thinking that I was going to include some of this like power line stuff, but I don't think it's necessary. Maybe a little bit of attention back there would be nice, but we'll do just a teeny bit. Want something kind of like, wow, melony colored? Melon-ish. Let's add a little bit of white, a little bit of blue to like desaturate that a little. And I could do some of that here. There. Even some of these melons feel like they're kind of like bright. There you go. There. Would like a little bit more in here. There's this weird little like tassel thing that I love. Love that. I want to definitely put that in. And a little bit of that. Maybe that'll help that kind of weird shape I was seeing there. This didn't get a lot of attention, so maybe a little bit more down here. We'll use the smallest flat I have, number 6. And I think we can use a little bit of white, yellow mixed with white, some light, like a coral. I'm going to add a little bit of this pink in here and put these on the apples. And there's a little part of that bag at the top, so I'm not going to do much there. And I'll probably put in a little bit of red just to create those little spaces between them. Same as I did on the mangoes. Also, I can use it for the little, I don't know, stem. I don't know what it's called. Where the stem meets the fruit. I'm sure there's a technical term for that I am not familiar with. There we go. I'll put a little bit in right here too. Cut that right there. And a little bit of blue in here for those darks. I'm trying to do them kind of like little curved shapes, like little crescents, just so it will feel round, you know. Well, there's this really cute little moment here that I hadn't noticed before. It's like, wow, my eyes are like, nope. It's like these little, I don't know, grate kind of. And I do appreciate a little like patterny moment, so put that in. There's a little bit of that over here too. And I think that's pretty good. Oh, you know, one more thing I can add that I just thought about is that kind of little pattern for the watermelon. Not watermelon, sorry, the pineapple. It's got a little bit of a visible texture there. And I have that color that I think will work perfect for it. Put a little bit in here. There. Some of these nice dark contrast shadow, or like a separation. It creates that separation for us. There we go. There. Do we need a couple of tiny little, like, you know, like, oh, there's a little dot from the fruit. I'm going to put them in this like ink. So it kind of still reads like a negative space. I don't know if it's really picking that up, but I feel like it's so dark back there that it does kind of work for that. There, I think that's better. That definitely worked out better here. There's a lot of black down here. There. These plums or whatever got a little bit neglected. I'll just give them a little bit of a black shape there. There. Okay, how do I feel? How am I feeling about this? I think I like it. I think I like it. I like that little bit. I think that could be a little bit brighter red if I can. Let me see. Can I do this? I think so. Let's see. Let's add some of that luminescent red. Is that what it's called? Lumi red. I'm just going to put a little bit more in here just because I want it to like pop out just a little more. Let me give it a little bit more here. There. Oh, I love the orange and the red on top of this blue. I think it really worked for it. I think that's a good like stopping point for me. Today is the 25th. So I just like to date my sketchbook entries, right? And so I don't know. I mean, like, I actually love it. Now, will I do anything else here? I'm not sure, because I kind of really like that space, right? And I've kind of been exploring that. Like here I painted the background and I didn't like, I mean, it's not even perfectly flat, but I didn't like how flat that was. But I really enjoyed this one. So I might kind of leave it like that. Let's see. Bye, Leslie. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier. You're probably gone by now. I can't wait. I hope you'll join me again. Yeah, for such a complicated picture, I think it did come out, right? I feel like I can stop here, right? Should I stop? I felt like there was a little bit of, oh, you know what I did want to include? Oh, I did put it in there. I was going to say those little bits of red on the little lights that I hadn't included, but I did. There they are. I'll leave it just like that. I feel good about that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I really like this one. So I think I'm gonna leave the background like this. Elizabeth, if you have opinions, I'd love to know what you think. Should I do some of those little goofy things that we were experimenting with here? I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean, the good thing is that it's there, and if I feel like it, I can do it. But overall, like, super happy with this. I think it looks so cute, and it's just like a very like a deviation from what we usually do. I don't know if it's so planty, you know, like I wanted to finish the month with plants, but regardless, you know, this worked out. About an hour painting, super happy with it. Yeah, I hope that you guys were able to do some of this too. So I'm hoping to see your work. If you did some work and you want to share with me, I would love to see what you made. If you didn't, that's fine too. Don't feel bad, like, you know, you may be working on other things. Cool. This is just a time for us that we're dedicating to ourselves and to working. But the blue balances, right? Thanks. I think so too. I really am enjoying this. It's like those little fruits are like just like, you know, impressionistic, just like there, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it the way it is, and I'll get some. I appreciate your feedback though, because it's really nice to kind of get like a second set of eyes, I always say. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this session. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, we just dedicated about an hour of our time to practice, and whether you finish something or you didn't, or you just watch, all of that is part of our creative practice, learning about how we move stuff around, how we play with materials. That's all part of it. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any work to share with me, please tag me on Instagram. I'll share your work too. I am Erica Beeswax, Erica with a K, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop it in the chat. And until next time, happy painting. Bye.